Well, hello, and thanks for watching the very first episode of News of the Pews, your new source of the finest two-way propaganda. Well, friends, the Trump slump has cost me my job, and Taylor's. Of course, it's not actually Trump's fault.
You're fired.
The normies believe that there is no real threat to gun rights right now, and that has led to reduction in sales. And in any other industry, a reduction in sales would lead to an increase in ad spending, but the gun industry is a little bit upside down. So ARFCOM News was not generating enough revenue to continue being a business unit, and both myself and Taylor, our editor, were let go. Of course, there is no animosity between us and the ARFCOM crew. We still love them, and they hopefully, I think, still love us. And in the future, hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to work together again. But for right now, it's just not fiscally solvent, I guess. So both Taylor and I are looking for work advocating for gun rights. In the meantime, though, there's no reason we shouldn't continue to bring you the news both on his channel and on mine. We will, of course, link to both of those down below.
Do it live! And
I can't really promise anything in the way of production schedules or whatnot, but I will attempt to continue fighting for our rights.
You gotta fight!
Naturally, Taylor and I are both pretty shook about this. We really like doing gun rights work. We like talking to you folks. We like bringing you the news. We like working for gun rights. We just kind of wish we could keep paying our bills doing that. So if you would like to help us continue to deliver you pure propaganda, stick around to the end. We'll post some links to our crowdfunding and whatnot, and hopefully we can keep this thing going for a little while. But let's do some news. An Arizona man was charged with selling machine gun conversion devices, and I just wanted to check in and mark myself safe from federal stepping. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
The feds claim Jose Rendon sold an AR to a snitch, then later sold some Yankee Boogles to him. Maybe. Possibly. The photo in the article shows Boogles, but it's probably just a stock photo, not an actual evidence photo, because those are usually taken on potatoes. So it really could have been anything. It could have been a super safety, it could have been a lightning link. Honestly, we don't know, and we wouldn't put it past the feds to claim that something that's totally legal is actually a machine gun. Oh, shit.
2 weeks later.
So we really have no idea what it is, but I wouldn't put it past the feds to claim that something that's totally legal is actually a machine gun. Rendon is charged with selling 18 firearms without a license and possessing 17 machine guns. Of course, he didn't need a license to sell the rifle, and the government wouldn't actually allow him to register those machine guns, so I think he should really challenge this on Second Amendment grounds. But those 17 other guns? Well, those are the so-called machine gun conversion devices because the federal government considers machine guns to be firearms under the NFA, even if it's just a part of a machine gun. So it's kind of a technicality. It's a gun, even though it's just a part of a gun, whatever. And as always, I'd like to remind you that machine guns are protected by the United States Constitution, that gun rights are human rights, and that the United States government lacks the authority to regulate firearms in any way whatsoever. Can I get an amen? Moving on up to the frozen wastes of Hoth north of our border, the Canadian gun confiscation program has managed to confiscate a whopping total of 25 guns. Clayton Campbell, the president of the Toronto Police Association, said that we know the gun buyback program is going to have essentially zero impact on crime in Toronto, which is kind of a funny thing for the cops to admit. The union representing RCMP members says Ottawa's program diverts extremely important personnel, resources, and funding away from addressing the more immediate and growing threat of criminal use of illegal firearms. Up to now, taxpayers in the Great White North have been bled for approximately 742 Kazakhstani pesos, even though they were promised the project would cost a grand total of only $200 million. Some experts are even projecting that the whole thing could sail well past $2 billion before it's all said and done. Again, just fantastically successful. And of course, everybody knows that when the full program goes into effect, hardly anyone will comply, and zero exactly zero of the people complying will be any of those violent criminals that you want to turn in their guns in the first place. So what's the point? Well, that's a good question. Why would the government want you to turn in your guns? Why would the government especially want non-criminals to turn in their guns? Maybe because they plan to do something they couldn't get away with if you were armed.
Happy Hunger Games! And may the odds be ever in your favor.
New York Governor and boss Karen Kathy Hochul, who you may remember from her role in The Dark Crystal, is once again pushing for draconian restrictions on building guns at home. The new proposal contains exactly the sort of draconian restrictions you would expect. It bans people from making guns at home, it requires printer manufacturers to somehow enforce state laws, and it bans the possession of guns that could be converted into machine guns. Naturally, these laws are unenforceable, but that won't stop them. And of course, whether or not it's legal to do, it's easy to squirt firearms at home. You simply can't stop people from doing that. And for that matter, you can't regulate the printers either. You understand that people build 3D printers at home with off-the-shelf components. It's like a big hobby that people are into. There is literally no way for you to regulate that market. It's impossible. And as they say, you can't stop the signal. Ideas are infectious. Every self-loading firearm yearns to be a machine gun. It wants the bird. You have to put parts in it to keep it from being a machine gun. So really, this law would seem to ban basically all self-loading firearms. Wait, almost like that's the point. And finally, the police chief of Montgomery, Alabama just announced his contempt for the Constitution by whinging about how his officers can't just shake down random people to find out if it's legal for them to carry a gun, because the state of Alabama does not require people to carry an ID and present it to law enforcement officers just because they demand it.
The current lack of an ID requirement creates serious challenges for law enforcement and grave consequences for public safety. You need that ID requirement to be able to check them against a certain person's forbidden list in an effective and proactive way. If the officer has to wait till somebody either points that gun or pulls the trigger, then it's too late.
I got news for you, sport. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prohibits you from doing any of this Minority Report proactive policing that you're talking about here. No, you can't just shake people down to find out if they're carrying a gun legally. You have to presume that people are doing things legally unless you have a credible and reasonable and articulable reason to believe that they're committing a crime. That's how things work in this country. Well, friends, thanks for watching. And if you would like to learn how you could help us continue to deliver you pure and good American propaganda at the low, low price of $3.99, well, I don't have any sponsors. So please do us a solid and check out Taylor's and my Patreon accounts. Go over to Taylor's channel if you're watching this on mine, or vice versa. Come on over to my channel if you're watching this on Taylor's. Give us some feedback. Let us know how you'd like to see the news progress, since you guys are driving it now. I'll throw some links up there on the screen, down there in the doobly-doo, in the description and all that. Please help us get through this. It's kind of rough. And as always, your prayers are appreciated. I love you.